So hi all, we're thanks to be a part of DevCon speakers this year, and would like to show you a beta version of Jackalope Plus. Maybe some of you are already familiar with Jackalope, but we want to show you improved version of it, which is great machine learning tool to ingest source to OHDSI vocabularies. We have just opened beta testing, so after the demo, do not hesitate to contact us and we grant you a free access to the tool. Let me tell about us. We are a Cypher's team, Ukrainian AI development company, helping various industries to innovate developing AI solutions. We are especially focused on healthcare and having a team of medical doctors who work alongside with artificial intelligence and machine learning engineers. Would not stop a lot on this slide because you are all familiar with OHDSI. But let me notice some key points which are affected by the tool. So OHDSI utilize standard terminologies such as nomicity, ICD-10, RIPSNorm to represent clinical concepts, enabling interoperability and cross-institutional data exchange. And the hierarchical structure of CDM ensures consistency, enabling researchers to conduct comprehensive analysis while adhering to standardized data conventions. And let's take a look on challenges which can be appear during the process of transforming the data into OHDSI, and particularly of vocabularies. So the first of all is concept granularity. Such complex diagnoses, rare disease, or specialized procedures may not simply map to OHDSI concepts and potentially leading to loss of clinical data. What also can be terminology mismatch, when the source data encoded using the local proprietary terminologies may not align perfectly with standard terminologies utilized in the OHDSI, such as nomicity or RIPSNorm, and temporal data representation, which accurately representing temporal relationships between events within OHDSI schema and be complex. The main resource of Jackalope, maybe you already know, it is post-coordinate expression or PCE. So let me tell more why it's important for us and why it's important for Jackalope. So PCE capture nuanced clinical details, providing granular representation of patient conditions, procedures, and observations. Post-coordinate expressions promote semantic interoperability by allowing standardized representation of clinical concepts, facilitating data exchange and integration across healthcare system. It also offers flexibility to represent diverse clinical scenarios and involving medical knowledge, supportive, comprehensive, and future-proof data modeling. It also post-coordinate expressions enable advanced analytics, decision support, and research, preserving the richness of clinical information and supporting detailed querying and analysis. And all these help to find a proper place for source concept in SNOMED CT hierarchy. And before we jump into a particular demo, let me introduce how the tool do the magic. So our initial source text test using machine learning technologies and provide users parent and attribute proposing for post-coordinate expression creation. Our proprietary model makes the best possible prediction for finding the right terms, and a model also improves with the time and can be tuned with your data. After evaluation of post-coordinate expressions was performed, changes ingest to OHDSI with different ways depending on your goals. It can be downloaded as CSV file or ingest particularly into OHDSI instance in your database. So let me dive to the demo in a second. Ooh. Hope you continue seeing my screen. Okay, so after the login page, you will see the configuration tab. Right now we are working only with CSV file, but in the future iterations, it will be expanded to SQLs as well. So we should use our test file, that will be test CSV, pick a proper delimiter, In our case, it would be semicolon, and do the import data. As you can see, the data preview tab, where we can find our source vocabulary, source code, source name, and future PC post-coordinate expressions. This moment, we not have them, but if we want, if we already have a spreadsheet with fill-in post-coordinate expression, it also can be utilized by the tool. So let's move to our actions and try to map this ICD-10 SM concept, which is quite complex and have several definitions in it. So it cannot be particularly straight mapped to a SNOMED city. So we would like, of course, create a concept, this source concept, into a hierarchy of this SNOMED. So we should provide to the tool a parent. As you can see in this screen, as called as parent mapping, we see our source name of concept, suggested parent, which provided by the tool already, and semantic search for a particular source code, source concept. So in our case, we can pick these two parents. Oops, sorry. Into our concept, and we can see that our parent table also added a new parents. And let also infectious open also set as a parent. And after we did parent mapping, we can continue to attribute mapping, confirming relationships button. And at this moment, the system will provide you attributes which specifically captured from parents at this moment. But in the future releases, it will be the same as semantic search in a parent, as we saw in the parent window. So we can use all of these attributes in our case, and also confirm it. As you can see in the fly, the post-coordinate expression are created. And let's do more exercise. For example, RDS. Yeah, always abbreviation is quite hard for any machine learning tools, but not in our case. It is respiratory distress. And we can also do the not only parent mapping, we can do a straight mapping. So we can use exact match for this concept, and the system will provide you a confirmation that it would be exact match. And after we confirm it, we will see that our source name held as exact match for this. If you want to see newly mapped it or only mapped concepts, you can easily use filters in this left side. And once you finished all of your manipulation with the data, you have several options. So the first one is, of course, download the copy of data preview tab using the button data. Sorry, using button download CSV copy of dataset. The next button, export data.csv, will provide you a zip archive which held concept relationship vocabulary and all necessary tables in CSV files, which you can upload by yourself into your OHDSI instances, or using expert SQL query. You can fit all new data, particularly into your OHDSI with this query or using copy SQL query or download SQL file for future needs. So I'll take a long time. So if, oops, did it work it? Yep. So we are glad to present Jackalope Plus, and you are welcome to join the beta. So contact us, and we will provide you an access to our tool. So, and we will be glad to any feedback. Yep. Thank you.
Thanks so much for that presentation, Dennis. I had a little bit of experience playing with the tool myself, and it has been, I was one of the beta members after Dennis had initially announced the beta being open, and thus far it's been really user-friendly. One of the concerns that we've consistently had from members of our mapping team is how do we get as subject matter experts to actually utilize some of these tools that the OHDSI community has been developing in order to help with some of that concept mapping. And one of the things that I think Jackalope Plus does really well is the UX design, and something that can really be simply selected, pushed forward, and in a way that many clinicians typically would understand. And so out of curiosity, I'll start with one of the first questions here. There are a lot of different vocabularies to choose from. Why SNOMED specifically?
Yeah, the SNOMED was specifically because it's have hierarchical structure. It's in OM of CDM. It is standard vocabulary that it used, and in a future MVPs releases, we are suspect to expand vocabularies to Eric's norm, to drugs, domain measurements, etc., and cover more and more.
Thank you. And my assumption is in the overall concept mapping pipeline, this goes after you've done a bit of profiling on your data. How do you see this as part of the overall OHDSI ecosystem?
So we are suspect that it can be integrated into OHDSI ecosystem, and if in future maybe it will be an API, or I don't know if user friendly. We are expand our web page, etc. So we are glad to participate in OHDSI ecosystem and thinking how to ingest into it.
Certainly see the floor here. Any other additional questions from folks?
Yep.
Well, I know we have a few of the clinical terminologists online. I see Andrew Williams. I was wondering how this could be, and maybe how this could incorporate SESAM, and where we have more things like the predicate ID and try to put together a confidence of the match. Is this something that lines up with the work that's being done there?
I think it would be a fascinating thing to try. We've got a lot of mappings, some of which would be targeting SNOMED, some of which not. But I think it's a very exciting tool and very, very potentially broadly useful. And so I don't know the answer, but I think it's a really exciting thing to try and investigate. So I look forward to doing that.
Yeah, we are thinking to expand to also SSLM format as well, because it's very useful in this stage. And yeah, we're only like waiting who wants to do it, who wants the results, and we can do it. It's only a matter of interesting.
And because, Polina Talapova, who's really been leading a lot of the work we've been doing around SESAM and its particular applications for mappings, that the Jackalope would be useful for is a member of Cyforce. I think we're well positioned to be engaging with you all on those tests, and it's a really exciting prospect. Yeah.
Great. Sorry, Dennis, go ahead.
No, sorry.
I was just gonna mention that in our brief testing, some of the most interesting results have been in comparing the Usagi mappings using the old Apache Lucene search algorithm versus just looking at the confidence intervals there versus what you're getting as well with Jackalope Plus. And often it's the matches are looking really, really great, and it's usually above for some of the cancer-specific components, it's been above about 90%. So it's been really cool to see. So one question I had there was in regard to the actual generation of the confidence intervals. With Apache Lucene, there's some documentation on how the confidence is created. So I'm wondering if there's going to be some openness in regard to Jackalope Plus, how the confidence intervals are created for y'all.
Yeah, sure. We also will do confidence for the Jackalope as well, in maybe a later time. But yeah, of course, it will be provided.
Cool. It looks like Paul Larono has his hand raised.
Yeah, so my team and I have just started working with Neo4j and doing the second portion of what you're describing, but I guess I'll definitely be clicking on the link to get some beta testing in. But it's along with Lucene, with Neo4j and MongoDB and all the other ones that use it, we can bring in our own encoders. Do you have that capability in your software?
We are only starting the beta, so once we know how many people will be interested in it, so the capabilities will be only increased. It's only a matter, as I mentioned, of interest in this tool, and that's all.
Thank you.
Yeah, and let me put a link to beta. So we'll be glad to inject to join.
It looks like we have Roger Carlson has his hand raised. Go ahead, Roger.
Yeah, I was just you mentioned that this exports to the concept relationship tables.
Mm-hmm.
Was that correct? It does not export to the concept source to concept map tables.
No. Well, we do not use only STCM, only concept to concept relationship, which you can amend to your already created instance of OMOP-CDM. So
right. Okay. I was just clarifying there.
Mm-hmm.
I have some more questions for you. So in regard to the most likely features, I know that you're definitely waiting on the results of the beta to go forward, so that you can prioritize some of the next things to come out. But in regards to components that you or Cyforce is primarily focused on integrating next, can we get a little peek in what your mental time frame is, or not mental time frame, sorry, mental timeline is for what new features are going to be added?
Yeah, as I mentioned, so we are suspect to expand vocabularies which will be affected and restrict not to only SNOMED-CT and not to domains specific, and as well as mentioned, we would like to increase capabilities of the tool, increase its how to proper say accuracy, accuracy of parent suggestion, and as well as mentioned due to the demo, we hoping to integrate into the next iteration of attribute search as well as parent search as it is now.
Very cool. One of the things that's come up for me when I'm doing concept mapping, just with Athena and a combination of Usagi and all of that kind of stuff, is I've been wanting to try to take a look at what our subject matter experts are initially searching for. So kind of like starting to track where they're initiating their search within a tool, kind of figure out where they're starting and then where they're ending. And if they haven't found something, or they did end up finding something, if that initial search term wasn't necessarily included in a nearby synonym, or that match was initially low, so they had to go really dig through the platform in order to find a match. I'm wondering if there's any kind of user analytics you see going into the future to maybe start connecting some of those nodes, connecting some terms based on some user utilization of the platform.
We are suspecting that JACKALOPE can be like a part of integration of new concepts into a standardized vocabularies, but again, it's whole community should approve it and everything. It's can be, and we are hoping it will be sort of time matter right now. But yeah, linkage of the new terms into vocabularies, and if it's wanna be done by community, yeah, we are thinking about this as well.
Nice. Very cool. Anytime we hear like a machine learning model potentially being implemented against some OMOP and OHDSI tools, it's always really nice to also incorporate all of the new information that could, again, be fed back into a model. So that's really cool to hear.
Yeah, so more information we will have, more improvements of the tool can be done, so vice versa. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right. I certainly can answer or ask more questions, but I'll save some of that for after we've worked on the beta a little bit more, and then we can like include that information. In regard to your beta testers, I guess that's one thing to potentially ask. What is does the team at Sciforce have a preferred way of providing that feedback back to Sciforce from the beta program?
Yeah, so we are glad to have any type of feedback, emails, LinkedIn, whatever you want. So yeah, we will be glad of feedback, and if your feedback will be like small or it's huge, even with negatives, it's also can be, because we want to improve only product and the tool, so we will be glad to any type of feedback.
All coming, all platforms. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Thanks so much for presenting today. It looks like Andrew does have a question. Go ahead, Andrew.
Is there an interest in understanding from the community not only their interest in participating in the beta, but kind of the problems that need to be solved with respect to things that could be measured? For example, the amount of man hours that are required, the overall accuracy, the transparency of the results. Are there things that community members have input on as far as the metrics of success, I guess, for like what things are done? Obviously, accuracy is going to be it, but is there ways in which your beta testing will include some of those other issues around time spent or other kinds of things? And do you have all those set already, or do you want people to help you set them as you're like figuring out kind of like where the tool lands and what needs it meets?
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Yeah, so we are right now only starting of this way. So we would like to see how many people interested in it, and what can be done. And the benchmarking is also would be in this part of the beta testing. So we would like to decrease the manual time of mapping, because we've done with mapping for more than 5 years, and you can understand that the manual part is the hardest one. So we are thinking and would like to do the decreasing of this time, and as you mentioned, Andrew, the benchmarking and how many time we spent on this, etc., would be as a part of the beta testing, and after we understand how people are interested in it.
Thanks.
Yep, thank you.
Sounds like something that might be publishable in some place, or if not anything else but a poster.
Yep.
Great point.
Hope so.
Okay. Let's pause for just a second. Sorry. So it looks like, Paul, did you have a special interest from a user regarding JACKALOPE Plus? It sounds like.
So I'm really interested in how we can, just like Andrew, how we can do a better job of vocabulary management, especially in helping a lot of clinical registries map their data elements. I think we've gotten better at mapping the value sets and the enumerated values for the questions, but I find the questions themselves, I still find that to be always having to be very context driven and hard to standardize two terminologies. I don't know if there's a different approach you to go after the actual the questions versus the potential answer list. I don't know if Hayden had a comment there either.
I mean, it kind of ties into a question that I was going to ask, which is, we haven't ever done this, and I think there's a lot of privacy stuff around it, but telemetry, or getting some sort of like built-in data collection of how the CDM is used by network partners, that could be brought back, and we can, that could be something that is used to, say, rank vocabulary. I think there's a lot of things that, because right now we treat the whole concept table as equal. It's weighted the same. So if you had that usage data, and again, there's privacy stuff because most of our sites, they're using these things on secure environments. If that can be fed back in a way, that's a great way to start optimizing and even just getting a good sense of these things.
So Hayden, wouldn't the database diagnostic profile could be a good way of doing that?
Yeah. I mean, we would. I think depending on the database platforms that they use, want to make it kind of easy as possible, and then on our end do some sort of parsing or some sort of way of digesting that. But yeah, it could just be as simple as the whatever platform they're using, the profiling.
Just follow up on that. So we've been planning for something that may never happen. It would be a public-facing vocabulary server that would work in concert with dedicated servers that Odysseus now uses for the main vocabulary build, but serve to facilitate community-contributed vocabularies and all kinds of vocabulary development and validation work that works in synchrony with that. And I think, Hayden, your thought is very much part of what we've been noodling on in that respect, some kind of Git-based infrastructure that allows sites that have unmapped codes to contribute them, where we could then understand what are the most commonly used codes that are not currently mapped, just to get like a needs-based assessment for where vocabulary development might happen for sites that are willing to contribute to that, as well as sort of the infrastructure to help facilitate that. And that's a place where certainly Jackalope and other kinds of efforts might play in. But I really like the idea. I think maybe a little bit beyond what is typically captured in a database profile in terms of unmapped concepts and their specific frequencies are, something that could be done in a way that scales well in some sort of public Git-based infrastructure. So I really, that's very much along the lines of stuff we've been thinking about as a part of that if that goes forward.
Andrew, I will email you about that because I just had a meeting with MotherDuck, which is a serverless DuckDB platform, and I think they would be very interested and up for a partnership, and that could be something that we use through a lot of development platforms for hosting that type of a thing. So
that sounds really exciting.
Yeah,
I can see how. MotherDuck. Thanks.
So jumping on board the idea of kind of collaborating on custom vocabularies, there was a conversation that Kyle had started in the forums, and I can post the chat here relatively soon, but it was a kind of an idea to collaborate all together in regard to these custom vocabularies that are often used, N3C being one of those custom vocabularies that's used by so many different individuals. So I think that idea of providing more obvious ways of sharing custom vocabularies is really interesting. But also in looking at the database and looking at the just standard analytics you can perform against a CDM that's already up and standing, that can have a bunch of analytics ran on it to be able to provide more information to the network partners. We're still at post-transformation step, I assume, in the overall ETL pipeline, whereas with Dennis's work, or the Jackalope Plus work, if we were to look at some analytics with regards to the source concept being ingested as a CSV. Again, this goes to the idea of privacy and making sure that only people will contribute what data they want to contribute, that kind of thing potentially. But whatever source CSV is being included, something like Jackalope Plus or something along these lines would allow more telemetry to be collected with regard to the actual source to target pipeline as compared to once it's in the target database, we can then perform analytics on it. For example, you could potentially think about performing analytics on just the CDM with looking at the source values. Emory, at least, I don't know about other sites, but with our source values, sometimes it's a concatenation of the primary key of the table, even if it's an ICD-9, ICD-10 code, or we'll put ICD-9 : something else. And so sometimes it's straightforward, sometimes it's not. So pushing the telemetry upstream or down, upstream would be really, really interesting. And I think the use case there for individuals such as Cyforce, other application developers, but with Jackalope Plus, would be a really interesting place to see if I'm providing concepts via a CSV into the platform, and there is some similarity between the concepts I'm providing from source and the concepts that somebody at Northwestern is providing from source. It'd be really interesting to have some sort of automated, look, this is very similar. You're trying to map stuff that's already been mapped. This is my recommendation, even though it's the custom vocabulary isn't necessarily something you would always want to put in that custom vocabulary database. What I mean by that is there are some components that are might just be what Cerner uses, and specifically at Emory, the Emory build of Cerner. But we wouldn't think that it would be something to contribute to a custom vocab up into the world. But something like telemetry on Jackalope Plus might be oh, other people have these? How have they mapped it before? And then common community recommendations on how a thing has been mapped. Just kind of jumping out at you. I think the conversations all are really great, and the more telemetry we can collect from extraction down to load would be really interesting, keeping user information in mind.